bolster or blanket, whatever will help to bring your hips in line with your knees, or even put your hips a little bit above your knees. And then just finding just really good alignment in your seated posture here. So bringing awareness down to your sitting bones and finding your center point of your weight down into your sitting bones. And then feeling your spine lengthen up toward the sky. Shoulders softening back and down, and opening up your body as a vessel to receive your breath. So let's just take a few breaths where we breathe into the belly, in through the nose, and then we exhale and sigh out the mouth. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhaling, exhaling, sighing through the mouth. One more time, just releasing stress from the body. Good. And then let's find our fingers up onto the collarbones, and we'll drop down an inch below, right into those hollows of the upper chest. And we'll begin our wake up practice seated. So you can either start doing some light tapping right on the end points of your kidney meridian. You could do some massaging if that feels really good to you. And then we'll continue with the inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Just getting energy flowing forward through all of the meridians of the body, bringing purification to the body. One more breath here. Good. Now we'll just come right about an inch below that notch in the throat. This is where the thymus gland is, and we'll tap right on the thymus gland. And we'll continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, tapping right on the body as if like the place where we would wear a bow tie, since a lot of us wear bow ties. That's kind of where you know you're in the right place for your tapping. And here we're really helping to release stress from the body, boost our immune system. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. One more time on this energetic reset. Good. All right, let's come now to the side seams of the low ribs, tapping or massaging right on your spleen meridian. Another nourisher of our immune system. Drawing grounding energy into the body, helping us to nourish ourselves with love and compassion. One more breath here. Good. Let's come right under the chest now, right on that first rib, and we'll tap on the lymphatic points that run to the spleen, clearing our spleen of toxins. One more breath here. Good. Let's come up now to the cheekbones, directly under the pupils. A little lighter tapping here, or you can massage. Right on the first 3 points of your stomach meridian, sending grounding energy down through the body, helping to support a healthy flow of digestion. One more breath here. Good. Let's shake off that excess energy toward the ground and relax the hands down on the thighs. And now we'll just close our eyes or have our eyes open with a soft gaze, with our gaze still inward. And we'll just pause here for just a few breaths, just observing what we're noticing in our body. And then we'll continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth as we tap our hand to our thigh on the same side in this homolateral march. And then we're going to pause and we're going to take our opposite hand to the opposite thigh, getting our energies crossing over, waking up both sides of the brain communicating to your body. One more breath. Good, and come to a pause. Place your hands in front of your pubic bone, off of your skin or on your skin. And we'll take a moment here to just set your intention for your practice this afternoon. An intention is just what would you like to focus on, receive, or embody? Just letting that bubble up from the body. And then on your next inhale, we'll draw that intention up through all the energy centers. Turn the hands out at the mouth and then exhale the arms around the body, sending the intention into your energy field and into your life, as well as clearing and strengthening your energetic field. One more time. Good. Then we'll close with the hookup, where we place our middle fingers, one in the navel, one at the third eye, and we'll press in and pull up on these 2 points and take 3 deep breaths in through the nose, and then out through the mouth. Aligning you to your center. Good. And then let's release the hands, shake out the hands. And then we're going to take our right hand onto the floor or onto a block, or if you're sitting in a chair, right onto the side of the chair. And then we'll inhale the left arm up toward the sky. And we're just going to stretch long through the side body for a couple breaths here. Rooting the left hip down, stretching up through the fingers. Deep breath in through the nose. And now we'll exhale through the nose. Yogic breathing. And then on your next exhale, begin the side bend now, taking the arm over the head to the right, continuing to root your hips down, and then turning your left lung up toward your left arm, breathing space into your side body. Opening your lungs, opening the shoulder. Good, and then on the exhale, let the arm float down to the mat. And then second side, left hand on the floor or chair or block. Right arm reaches straight up through the fingertips. Take a couple breaths right here. Coming into your body, feel into the stretch and into the opening. And then taking the side bend a little deeper to your left. And perhaps taking the right lung and revolving it up now toward the right arm. Breathing into those sticky spots. Deep breath in, slow breath out. Good. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, float the arm down. Let's take a twist in the lower abdomen to the right. Right fingers on the floor, left hand on the outer right thigh. If your fingers don't make it to the floor, you can take a block under the hand. Seated twist. So we'll root the hips down, lengthen the spine, take a deep breath into the belly. On your exhale, draw your lower ribs around to the right a little bit more. And Steve, put more of your weight into your hips and out of this back arm. So just sit up a little straighter. Yeah, there you go. Good. Shoulders draw back, breathing into your back. Loosening up any of those tight back muscles if you've been crawling around on a roof or cleaning or whatever else you've been up to today. Riding a bike, trying to stay cool. Good. One more deep breath in. On your exhale, slowly unwind back to center and revolve around to the other side. Left hand on a block or the floor, right hand on the outer left thigh. The hips root down and then the spine lifts. And then draw your low ribs around toward the left. The shoulders soften back. And then let's just have the chin align right over the center of the heart. Breathing into any of those sticky spots in your back. Lighting them up with breath, with space. Deep breath in. And exhale, slowly unwind back to center. Okay, we're going to come up off of our seat. And we're going to place a loop in our strap. So you'll take the end of your yoga strap through both of the D rings and then come back through the center so that you can make a loop for your foot, size of a grapefruit. And we're going to make our way onto our back. So you can just set your strap nearby you. And then I'd like you to have your bolster nearby as well. We'll use it eventually. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on the earth, opening the body. And so when you arrive onto your back, you can set your feet up all the way out to the wide edges of the mat. And then if it's available, your arms can stretch overhead and rest on or near the floor, or your arms can stretch out on the floor out of the shoulders, making a T shape with the body. We'll start with windshield wiper stretch here. So just take a moment to root your heels and to pick your toes off the mat and to spread each toe. And then take a deep breath into the belly. And on your exhale, release your knees to your left. Roll onto the edges of the feet. Breathing deeply into your hips. If you need a prop under your knee, feel free to add it. 2 deep breaths here. And then inhale the knees up, float them over to the right, roll into the edges of the feet. Take 3 deep breaths, breathing into your left outer hip as you allow the knees to release toward the earth. And then on your inhale, float the knees up. Exhale them over to your left. Take 2 deep breaths here. And then inhale your knees back up. Exhale them to your right. And enjoy 2 deep breaths here. So bringing this lubrication into your hips and allowing the knees to also release. And then inhale the knees back up and exhale them to your left. Take a deep breath in and a long, slow breath out. And then inhale your knees up, exhale them to your right, and enjoy a deep breath into the belly, and then a slow breath out through the nose. Good. Inhale your knees back up. Let them fall to your left side again. And now we're going to pause here for a few breaths. So you have the option to place your left heel onto your right thigh. If your arms are overhead, take a hold of your right wrist and gently extend the arm away from the right hip bone. Breathe. Option to go a little deeper into the side bend to guide your wrist over to the left, relaxing the left shoulder toward the left knee, creating space for there to be flow through your connective tissue to release tension, to release stress, to release any emotional residue that you're holding on somewhere in your body. One more deep belly breath, exhaling slowly through the nose. Good. Release the wrist, release the foot, float your knees back up and let them fall to your right side now, adding any prop under the right thigh or knee if you need it. Option to place the right heel onto the left thigh and to take a hold of your left wrist and to gently stretch it away from the left hip, breathing deeply. With that option to take the side bend a little bit deeper to your right, guiding the arm over the head, your right shoulder moving toward the right knee. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. And then release your wrist and your foot and float your knees back up. Let your arms come down to your sides now and walk your feet in hip distance apart. Option to straighten your left leg all the way onto the mat with your left heel rooted. And then draw the right knee in toward the chest and place your hands behind your right thigh. We're going to do a little hip flow here on the right hip. So on your inhale, you're going to straighten your right leg and point your toes. And on the exhale, you'll draw the knee toward the right shoulder. Move with your breath. Inhale your thigh bone back, straighten your leg, point your toes. Exhale your knee toward the right shoulder. Yeah, that looks good. Moving with your breath, bringing that lubrication into the right hip joint. Opening up the low back and buttocks. Sinking in relationship and harmony to your breath with these movements. Following your breath. One more time. Inhale, thigh bone back, straighten the leg, point your toes. Exhale, knee toward the right shoulder, and then pause. Place your right hand on the right knee. Left arm anchors onto the floor. Flex your right ankle. And as you inhale, you're going to open your right hip and knee toward the ground while keeping your left hip on the mat. Exhale your knee back up to center and even a little bit to the left. So we're going to flow here. Inhale, opening your hip and knee toward the ground. Good. Exhale your knee back up and a little to the left. 3 more times with your breath. All the while, the left hip is stable on the mat using your muscle energy. You can also place your left hand on your left hip bone to help stabilize. One more time, opening the hip and then closing the hip. And then we'll pause here. Switch hands on your knee and anchor your right arm onto the ground. Relax your left leg. We're going to inhale our outer knee into our hand. So we'll feel our outer buttocks fire up. There's resistance there. And on the exhale, we'll guide the knee to the left over the body and come into this twist. Flowing again. Inhale, press your outer knee, outer thigh into your hand as your knee comes back above the right hip. Exhale, guide your knee to the left, towards the floor, coming into that twist. Move with your breath. Both shoulder blades stay anchored on the mat. Good. And the next time you come into this twist, let's pause here. Option to turn the head to the right, putting a twist in your neck and upper chest. Breathing into your belly, 3 deep breaths, cleansing your organs, releasing inflammation from the body. Good, and then let the head come back to center. Bring your right knee back up. Straighten your leg, point your toes, and slowly lower your leg to the mat using your core muscles. And then relax your legs and hips. And now we'll go to the second side. So your right leg can stay straight, or you can bend your right knee, foot on the mat. Draw your left knee in toward the chest. Hands come behind the thigh. We'll flow here in the left hip. Inhale your thigh bone back, straighten your leg and point out your toes. Exhale, draw your knee toward your left shoulder. So you're following your breath, even if it's different than when I'm guiding you to breathe. So really just tune in. Your inhale is when the leg is straight and your toes point. And your exhale, the knee draws in toward the left shoulder. This movement is happening from your left hip. So you can go into your left hip joint and initiate the movement from there. Bringing in that mind-body connection. One more time through each of these movements. And then pause with your knee toward the chest. Place your left hand on the knee. Right arm anchors on the floor. Left ankle flexes. And now we'll inhale and open the left hip and knee toward the ground, keeping our right hip on the mat. And then we'll exhale the knee back up and a little bit to the right. Flowing with your breath. Opening the left hip and knee on the inhale. And on the exhale, flowing over to the right. Just really allow your exhales to lengthen. It's a great way to cool down the body and to bring in grounding energy, which helps us to stay cool on a hot day, is to lengthen our exhalations. Okay, the next time your knee comes up, switch hands on your knee and anchor your left arm onto the ground. Inhale, press your outer knee into your hand so there's resistance and you feel your outer buttocks fire up. And on the exhale, guide your knee to your right, keeping your left shoulder blade rooted. Flow with your breath. Inhale the knee back up. with that resistance in the outer thigh. Exhale, guide the knee to your right, keeping your left shoulder blade on the mat. And the next time your knee comes over to the right, let's stay here in the twist with the option of turning your head to the left. Breathe consciously into your back. So the breath moves from the belly into the back. Good. And then inhale, release. Straighten your leg, point your toes, use your core muscles to slowly lower your leg to the mat, and then totally relax the legs and hips. Okay, we're going to bend our knees now, place our feet on the mat, and move a little bit in flowing bridge pose. So make sure your feet are walked in toward your hips so the knees are above your ankles. And then let's tuck our shoulder blades underneath the upper back to lift the chest. And on our next inhalation, we're going to inhale the arms overhead, press into the feet, and lift the hips up toward the sky, bridge pose. As we exhale, the arms, the spine, and your hips all melt back into your mat. Your inhale lifts your hips as you tone your back body, inner thighs, and reach long out your knees. And on the exhale, all the tissues of your body just totally let go and soften. Move with your breath. Good. And Jerry, you can separate your knees a little bit wider apart with your feet. Yes. There you go. Now see what that's like. Good. Good. The next time you're in bridge pose, stay up and lifted here for 3 to 5 breaths. Fire up your back, buttocks, hamstrings, inner thighs hug toward each other, opening the front body. Steady breaths. And when you're ready to come on down, you'll slowly lower your hips, your spine, and your arms back to the mat. Walk your feet a little bit apart and let your knees rest on or near each other in constructive resting pose. Soften the front of your hips. Release your low back for a few breaths. Okay, we'll let the knees separate apart. Walk your feet in hip distance apart and find your strap. We're going to draw the right knee in toward the chest and place the loop of the strap around the ball of the foot just south of the toes. You're going to bring your bolster now the long ways and hug it in next to your right hip so you can feel the bolster touching your right hip. Your left knee can stay bent, or you can straighten the leg all the way onto the mat, rooting the left heel. So we'll just start here in hand to foot pose using the strap. And let's keep the strap, our hand on the strap close to the body to keep the shoulders relaxed. Aligning your knee above your right hip. And then let's take one hand behind the right thigh and press the thigh into the hands to feel our hamstring muscles hug our femur bone. That's a great way to really get a deep beneficial stretch. And then as you travel up the back of your leg to your foot, press the ball of your foot into the strap, like you're pressing on a gas pedal. And take a few breaths here. Opening up that channel on the back of your legs really helps open our low backs. And then again, let your exhalations lengthen a little bit longer than your inhalation. Take another deep breath in, slow breath out. Anchor your left arm onto the ground, palm is down on the floor. Rotate your whole right leg out to the right so the toes are turned out. So bring the leg back up above your hip. So rotating, it just means externally rotate your whole leg in the hip socket first. So if you look at your toes, they're at 2 o'clock on the face of a clock. And now as you press the ball of the foot into the strap, you'll go a couple inches out to your right and you'll feel the bolster against your hip this whole time. You'll breathe. And when you're ready to go a little further, then you can go a little further, but just slow it down because gravity will take us quicker than we might be ready to go. We also want to keep our left hip on the mat. So we have to keep the stabilization there. And so once you've found an edge you'd like to work with, your outer thigh is making contact to the bolster because the bolster's offering support. Because we're going to hold our leg out here for about a minute. So we want to have a little extra support. Really nourishing our digestive system, our colon, our elimination system, as well as our kidney meridian and our kidneys, which really help to filter and purify the body, our emotions, and help us to have strong life force energy. Try to soften the grasp on the strap a little bit so you're not white knuckling it. And let's enjoy 3 more breaths here as we really lengthen our leg bone out the right hip. Good, then we'll bring the leg back up. And now we'll bend the knee and release the strap. And we'll switch the bolster to the left hip side. We'll do the same thing on this side. Draw the left knee into the chest. Strap goes around the ball of the left foot. Right leg can stay straight or bend the knee, foot on the mat firmly. So we'll start in stage 1 here of hand to foot pose, aligning our knee above our hip. Either hand comes behind the thigh bone, and you hear this term thigh bone back a lot in yoga. This has helped to bring alignment to your hip and knee. It helps to open the back of the leg where we might have some sticky spots. So if you need to bend your knee a little bit and then straighten it as you press the ball of the foot into the strap, that's okay too. You don't have to go right in if you're really tighter in your hamstrings. Just wanting to flush that connective tissue in the back of the leg so that there's more space and greater lightness in your lower back, so less tension there as well. Good. Now we'll take the left hand onto the strap. Right arm anchors on the floor. Palm is down. Now, first, before the leg goes out, we're going to rotate it. This is external rotation. So the leg turns out to the left in the hip socket, and the toes are now at 10 o'clock on the face of a clock. Now we can go on our expedition of bringing the leg out a few inches, pausing, pressing the ball of the foot into the strap as we feel the bolster supporting the outer hip. If the right leg's on the floor, it's stabilizing the right hip on the floor. That looks really good. And then find an edge to work with. Breathe. There's a lot of uprising energy as we get ready to shift into another season, the season of summer on Sunday. And so we're in this shifting of seasons, and so the energy can feel a lot more uprooted. So we just want to help ground ourselves. This is a great pose to do that, as well as our practice today. Three more breaths here. Good. Then we'll guide our legs slowly back up. And now we'll bend the knee and release the strap. We'll set the strap to the side. And now we're going to lengthen our whole body on the earth by taking the arms up overhead. Flex the feet into an imaginary wall. Take a deep breath as you stretch full into the body. And now point your toes and take another deep breath in. And exhale, relax the body. Good. Let's bend our knees, place our feet on the mat, and now we'll roll to our side into fetal pose. And let's just soften our whole front body toward the ground. And then we'll slowly press ourselves back up. Head comes up last. And then we're going to find our blanket and we're going to fold it, short edges together to make a little seat. And then you're going to grab your chair. And move this out of the way. So I'm going to have you can do whatever you would like. You can either stay right where you are or turn to the long edge of the mat, either direction, because we're going to come and work in seated, wide angle forward bend with the support of the chair, seat of the chair in front of us. So we're going to take our, I'm just going to move this momentarily just so you can see. We're going to take our hips on this blanket and we're going to drag our sitting bones forward on the blanket so we'll come right to the edge of it. And now we've, sorry to bother you, Penny. So now we've got this good setup for the spine. And now your chair just depends where it's at based on how flexible you feel in your hips in this moment. So with your legs straight, and if they don't totally straighten, you can put a slight bend in them, but keep lots of tone, kneecap to hips, to keep the legs and low back supported. Now we're going to hinge from the hips. So not the waist or shoulders, but from the hips. And then we're going to place our hands stacked on the seat of the chair. So there's a little bit of muscle energy. We're pulling our kneecaps up toward the hips, keeping the quads activated to help open the back of our legs and to support our low back. So it's not a totally relaxed position. I'm going to turn this way. So I'm going to have you sit up a little bit higher, my friend. I'm just going to have you sit up on your bolster because I think you'll enjoy it a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. And then, let's see. Nope. Now try. Yeah. So keep a little bit of that muscle energy with heels rooted down, toes pointing up toward the sky. Push your chair away from you a little more. You're doing good. I'm just got to give you a little more height, I think. I don't know if you need this, but that's better. Here, I know I'm bugging you, so I'm gonna have you slide. Just slide right to the edge, front edge of the bolster. So you have to sit up. Use your core, navel to spine. There you go. Breathe into your low back. Allow your exhales to lengthen, and we're even going to bring a count in. So we'll inhale to the count of 4. And on the exhale, we'll exhale to the count of 8 as we exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose to the count of 4. Exhale slowly towards the count of 8 through the mouth. One more time, breathing into the count of 4. Exhale through the mouth to the count of 8. Return to a natural breath. And then slowly rise up. You can take hands underneath your thighs to bring the legs together. And we're going to bring our soles of our feet together for cobbler pose. You can just slide the chair off the mat. We'll just come right into cobbler pose, still on the edge of your prop to help lift the spine. And then hands can come either behind you on the floor, on your fingertips, and then press into the fingertips, lift the chest, draw the shoulders back, press your heels together. If you need blocks under the knees, set those up. And we'll breathe some light into the hips. That looks like a good place. Yeah, okay. Three more breaths right here. Unfurling your inner thighs, inner groins, inner hips. Now, keeping our legs in cobbler pose, we're going to take our left hand over onto the outside of our right kneecap. So if you just kind of wrap your hand around the kneecap, you'll hit stomach 36, one of the meridian points that supports that grounded feeling in the body and healthy digestion. Then we're going to take our right hand and place it directly above the left elbow. And we'll hold a triple warmer point here to reset the nervous system. So we're going to take a nice gentle twist in the lower abdomen to the right as we do this. Shoulders are relaxed. If it doesn't feel comfortable to hold these points, you can come back to what we were just doing. We're going to take a few deep breaths here. Again, breathing in through the nose to the count of 4. Exhale to the count of 8 through the mouth. And if you can't quite make it to 8, no worries. Just heading that direction. Good, and then let's release those points on that side. We'll come over to the left side now. So the right hand will wrap around just below the left kneecap. The left hand will come above the right elbow. And now we'll inhale, lift the spine, and we'll draw our lower abdomen toward the left. So we've got the twist in the abdomen, cleansing the organs, releasing the back. And then giving us just support for our digestion, grounding. You can even let a little smile light up your lips while you do this. And then inhaling again to the count of 4. Exhale toward the count of 8. Good. Release the technique, release the hands. Draw the knees up. And we're going to stretch the legs out, and we're going to grab our straps again. So we'll stretch our legs out in front of us. We're right on the edge of our blanket. And then we're just going to take our strap. You can keep the loop in it since you've got the rest of the strap to work with. And we're going to place the strap around the balls of our feet, like a little rein, like we're on a horse. And so we're going to find our sitting bones rooting down. And just like when you get on the reins of a horse, you kind of like use the leverage to like lift you up. Feel your navel move in and up toward the spine and really lift the chest. Slide forward on the front of your bolster a little bit more. There you go, Steve. And then use that core and bring your chest up. Nice. Yeah, that's better. That's hard work. It's easier, or it's harder than it looks, I guess. Okay, so right here, this might be enough work. Pressing the ball of the feet, into the strap, keeping your legs straight, keeping the spine straight. This is Dandasana, seated staff pose. Now, if you can keep your legs straight right here, you can move from the hips and reach the heart toward the toes any amount more without rounding your shoulders or dropping your head. So it's like you've leaned into the reins a little bit, breathing into the back. Remember that muscle energy we were working in our seated wide angle forward bend. Draw the kneecaps up toward the hips and keep that tone in your quads. That will help the low back. 3 more breaths here. Massaging your digestive and elimination organs. Good, and then we'll slowly come on up. Good, and then release your reins. Let the legs shake out. And then we're going to make our way up off of our seat and come all the way onto our feet with our chair in front of us. And if you need to kind of just shake out the body a little bit, feel free to do that. We'll use the chair for a little bit more with our legs and hips before we rest our legs. So we're going to bring our toes under the seat of the chair. So we look down, we can't see our toes. We'll take our hands to the sides of the chair, and we're going to step our right foot back 2 to 3 feet in its own lane for Parsvottanasana, or pyramid pose. So both legs are straight. We're pressing our feet down into the earth and then isometrically drawing them toward each other, drawing tone up the legs to our core. Our left hand comes back onto our sacrum, and we can see, are my hips right next to each other? My left hip might need to tack straight back. So we want our hips to be level, to keep the sacrum level. That looks pretty good. And then keep the spine nice and long and breathe. It's the main thing, is to breathe. Just find a cue to work with. And if all you can do is just breathe, that's really still very powerful and effective for shifting out of old patterns, cleansing the body, and coming into this present moment in your body. One more breath here. Good. Let's bend the left knee, step forward. Second side, left foot takes a step back into its own lane. One other cue is your back toes turn out to the left. And then right hand can come back as you tack your right hip straight back. Left hip comes forward. You can kind of find, we only had eyes in the back of our head, but we got to feel to see if our hips are level, and then I can look around. And that looks pretty good. So both legs are straight, feet are pressing firmly into the ground, and then the feet are drawing toward each other, this direction, drawing that muscle energy up the legs to your pelvic floor. The spine is reaching long, hips moving away from the top of the head, breathing here. If you tend to hyperextend your knees. Make sure you put a slight micro bend in your knee. And then find breath moving into the areas of your back or hip or hamstring that feels contracted. One more deep breath here. Good. Bend your knee, right knee, step forward. And now we're going to place our hands on top of the seat of the chair. Hands are spread wide. And we'll walk our feet away from the seat of the chair for a supported down dog or L pose. So the feet are coming right under your hips. Arms are straight. Legs can take a slight bend in the knees. Reach your hips away from your hands. Breathe into your lumbar spine. And then you can bend your right knee and straighten the left leg. Thigh bone moves back. And then go to the other side. So this is often called the walking the dog and down dog, right? So we're just coming into a little bit more isolating one side at a time, really opening, reaching the hip bone away from the hands. Good. And then find your legs in their straightest position as your thighs move back. 3 more deep breaths. Head in line with your arms. Good. Now we're going to let the knees bend and we'll come into a full bent knee uttanasana as we release the head and spine toward the ground. The hands come to the earth or to the elbow tips. And now we're really letting go in the spine and in our head toward the ground. And now we'll place our hands on our big toes. Now we're going to slowly trace up our spleen meridian to come up to standing. So we'll inhale and sweep the hands to the inner ankles, up the inner shins, inner knees, inner thighs, over the front of the hips, up the sides of the torso, past the shoulders, circling back down to the side ribs. Let's massage deeply for 2 deep breaths right on the spleen. Strengthening our immune system, boosting our energy, helping our digestive processes. Good. All right. How we doing? All right. I think we've showered it all. We've released it all, and now we're gonna come down and rest our legs on our chair. So, if you would like to bring a blanket under the head, you have that option. If you would like to elevate your hips higher, you have your bolster option. So you could slide your bolster horizontally underneath your hips, lifting the hips up with the feet on the chair. So that's just a little bit more elevation. Otherwise, keep your hips relaxed on the floor. You can always rest a blanket under there as well. So once you have found your sweet spot for your legs up the wall, up on the chair position, we're going to bring our fingers now behind the head. And we're going to find our fingers at the notch at the base of the skull where our cervical spine meets our skull. And we're going to place our fingers of both hands, 2-piece fingers of each hand, just in that notch. And then once you have found it, you're going to travel your fingers out 2 inches over those ropey tendons and to the other sides where there's these hollows. And you're going to leave your 2 piece fingers of each hand in these hollows as the elbows relax on the ground. These are our electric points. And when we hold these points and massage these points, we literally recharge every cell of our body. So it's like we've plugged ourselves into our recharge station. So we're going to press our fingers into these points for 2 deep breaths, massaging in a circle. And these points might feel sore if you're holding tension here. These are also referred to as the headache points if you get headaches, to hold these points. And then just keep your fingers here. You can release the pressure and just relax the elbows on the ground, relax the jaw and the upper body. And we're going to keep our fingers here for another minute or so to recharge our cells. So you'll begin to notice pulsation or heat or tingling under your fingers. And if you don't notice that, that's okay too. And now begin to again apply pressure to these points, circling and massaging for 2 deep breaths. And then you're going to slide the fingers down the sides of the neck, unplugging from those recharge stations. And your left hand is going to rest right over the organ of your heart, the main electrical system of your body. And your right hand can rest wherever it would like to rest on your body. reconnect with your breath. And then slowly draw your knees into your chest, placing your hands around your knees or thighs. Take a gentle rock side to side. And then we'll transition our legs down onto the mat. Here, I can move that for you, Sue. Into Shavasana. Bringing your body completely flat on the mat with any props you would like. Under the knees or on top of the thighs for added weight for the nervous system. And we'll close in our final relaxation pose. And if you would like a little bit of support, just calming your mind and going inward, you can bring the heels of your hands and place them on the cheekbones, your palms draped over your eyes and fingers draped over the forehead with this palming hand mudra. Holding your hands here as you breathe. And keeping them here until you start to feel a wave of calm just washing over you. Allowing the arms to rest by your sides whenever they're ready to. Become aware of the sounds inside the room you're in. Reconnect with your breath. Feeling your breaths deepen and expand slowly. Become aware of your feet and allow your toes to start to wiggle. Become aware of your hands as the fingers start to move. And then eventually finding yourself in a full body stretch to become fully back into your body. And then rolling eventually onto your side into fetal position, letting your whole front body relax toward the ground. And as you're ready to, you can make your way slowly back into a comfortable seated position, just taking your time. And then once you arrive back in your seat, let's meet our hands together in Anjali Mudra, prayer pose right in front of our hearts. And we'll close our practice with the sound of one Om, sending our love out into the world or to someone who's on our hearts today. And let's take a deep breath in together. Thank you for practicing with me today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste.